What could be more heartbreaking than watching the person you've known all your life slowly vanish right before your eyes? This thought crossed my mind as Serval recalled the time when Cocolia dismissed her from the architect. She wondered whether one ascending to the role of Supreme Guardian was given a hand-me-down consciousness that would replace their own. That was the only plausible reason for Cocolia, her closest friend, to dismiss her without another word. Perhaps the real Cocolia had vanished. Hello friends, today I will take you on a journey to delve into the heartbreaking yet clever way that Honkai Star Rail set up Cocolia's inevitable death. One that followed the development of the relationship between Belobog's overworld and underworld future leaders, a visit to a workshop owned by an ex-architect of Belobog, and a recalling of a sub-story from the past. This is an essay on how to implicitly kill a character. One disclaimer before we continue. This essay is my own interpretation of the story and relationships within, which includes the romantic implication that some would rather overlooked. If you find yourself disagreeing with that part, well, try not to make it your job to change my mind. It's fiction. There's no one right way to interpret a story. With that said, let's get started. Step 1. Introduce a character that seems to bear no importance to the story early on in the story itself, then reveal that they are the soon-to-be dead character's closest friend in the past. While the title suggests that this video is about Cocolia, the route to get there is rather a roundabout one. You see, Cocolia was an established antagonist of the story. She's the big bad villain, and the thing about villains is that they're already bad from the start of the story. They've gone through the villainous arc off screen, and we're left with following the protagonist as they go through some life-changing experiences, come out of it a changed person, ready to fight the villain. In short, there's not much to go on to learn about Cocolia. What we did get, however, was told by the people close to her, or used to be close to her. And that's where Serval Lando comes in. Serval was first introduced as an owner of a workshop, and later on as a member of a rock band. She's pretty laid back and didn't seem like she would have had an agenda in whatever affair that was going on in the city. It didn't seem like much of an importance to the story, just another playable character we got introduced to in-game. Except, we were told to visit her workshop early on in the story. 3 places to go to in Belobog, according to Gepard, and one of them was Serval's workshop. Why? She was then absent throughout Act 2 as we spent most of our time in the underworld. We saw the suffering of the underworlders, helped them out, and at the same time bore witness to how beautifully Bronya and Zealous dynamic evolved. From one full of naive optimism and prejudice with a sprinkle of mockery, to one full of respect, admiration, and a promise to build a better Belobog. I mean, I could go on and on dissecting the Bronya-Zella relationship, but that's a topic for a different time. Although if you'd like to see one, let me know in the comment below. Now, as we ventured back to the overworld, we went straight to Serval's workshop, and here was where things got more interesting. Serval Lando, Bronya said, was Gepard's sister. She used to be an architect, but according to Sampo, she got into trouble that caused her to be fired by the boss. The boss would turn out to be the big boss, the Supreme Guardian herself. Right before it was settled that she would be coming with us to find the Stellaron, we got these 3 dialogue options. It's not mandatory to click them at all, they could be skipped altogether, but I didn't, of course, because I had grown attached to Serval by this point, and that was the cue for the tragic backstory to reveal itself.
Sometimes I even wonder whether she really did become a different person. Is that possible? Perhaps there's a single guardian consciousness that gets handed down from generation to generation, and the real Cocolia has already vanished.
I sobbed as the realization dawned on me, as I realized that perhaps to Serval, the Supreme Guardian Cocolia was not the same Cocolia that was her closest friend. That was not her Cocolia up there ruling Belobog and making all those questionable decisions. That was just a shell filled with a hand-me-down Supreme Guardian consciousness, while her Cocolia, the real Cocolia, had vanished long ago. This was the reason Gepard told us to visit her workshop early on in the story. Serval wasn't just some random playable character we got introduced to in-game, she was Cocolia's closest friend. Or used to be. She used to care about Cocolia, yet there she stood, declaring that Cocolia is dead. What was there left of Cocolia to save when the core of the person itself no longer existed? Step 2. Develop another pair that at first glance seems to be a complete opposite to the characters in Step 1, then draw parallels between them. It was also around this time that we first heard the panic in Zele's voice, which also served as the first difference between Serval and Zele. We learned from Gepard that Bronya might be in danger, and Zele's immediate reaction was to hurry us to go and save Bronya, while Serval was calmer in comparison. "I'm not sending you on a suicide mission," she said to Zele, which to be fair was true. Zele had spent all of her life in the underworld. She had no idea just how massive the security and power of the Silvermane Guard in the overworld was. While Serval would take time to step back and think, Zele was more spontaneous, think less, do more kind of attitude, you know? Sure, in situations like this where you could risk your own safety, your own life, it would be best to lay out your plans first, strategize, and know your enemies before you make the first move. But in other situations, you just gotta throw rationality out of the window and push your way through. Pretty much what Zele did with everything Bronya related really, which she had the luxury of doing because Bronya allowed her to. But more on that later. As for Serval, it was figuring out why Cocolia removed her from the Architect and stopped wanting to see her. She tried to make sense of the situation, tried to rationalize why suddenly this dear friend of hers would push her away, would remove her from her life essentially. She tried and failed because the Cocolia that she knew would never do that. And the only way to make peace with that, to get closure, was to convince herself that her Cocolia had vanished a long time ago, and that the person parading as Cocolia Ren, the Supreme Guardian of Belobog now, was just a shell of the real Cocolia, a puppet, controlled by the singular Guardian's consciousness. You might ask, instead of just trying to figure out by herself, why didn't Serval insist on wanting to see Cocolia, in a way pushing her way through, and demand some explanation? From a previous scene, we saw how Bronya stood her ground and refused to be dismissed yet again by the Supreme Guardian.
This time I am standing my ground, Madam Guardian. And please, stop dismissing me with vague excuses.
And in return, Cocolia backed down and decided to reveal the truth to Bronya. It was no secret that, her manipulations and lies aside, Cocolia did care about Bronya, so it's not too much of a stretch to say that should somebody she cared about step forward and push their way through, Cocolia might eventually give in and listen to them. This was the case with Bronya, and could have been the case with Serval, except Cocolia had never given Serval the chance to do so. As much as Zele is the more reckless version of Serval, Bronya is the more open version of Cocolia. We had seen how Bronya went to the underworld, well, involuntarily at first, but eventually she learned of the hardship of the people down there. She saw the truth that Cocolia had been hiding from her. She saw things from Zele's perspective, understood why Zele was so hostile towards her in the beginning. Then in turn, we followed Zele as she discovered that, well, yeah, the guards were actually at the front line risking their life for the people of Belobog, just as Bronya had told her from the beginning. Zele needed to see the life-threatening situation of the Silvermane Guards herself as much as Bronya did the suffering of the Underworlders. In a way, Bronya and Zele met in the middle. This is what was missing from Cocolia and Serval's dynamic. On one hand, we had Serval who had already given up trying to understand Cocolia, and on the other, Cocolia who had blocked any possible ways for Serval to get through to her. Let alone changing each other's opinion, there was not even a chance to see the other's perspective to begin with. This is why it got more frustrating the further we progressed through the story, because then we saw that Serval was able to change Gepard's mind. Sure, we had to fight him first and all that, but eventually Serval made him pause and allow us a chance to tell him the truth.
Maybe I've wasted your trust. In which case, believe Bronya.
In the end, he let us pass. This goes to show that Serval could persuade people to listen to her. She could change their mind, but only if the other person is willing to give her the chance. Unlike Gepard, however, Cocolia didn't have the grace to give Serval that chance. She just shut her out, dismissed her from the research team without another word, and left Serval to wonder what she had done wrong to be treated that way. And Serval, still very much cared about Cocolia, respected that decision. It was Cocolia's wish not to see her ever again. What else could she do but obey? Step 3. Ensure that the soon-to-be-dead character is too far gone to be saved.
Do you remember what I said? If anything happened to you, I'd save you. Do you understand? Even if the damage is done, even if you've completely forgotten our promise, then I'm just gonna have to knock you out and bring you back myself.
Remember when I said that Zele pretty much could afford to push her way through with everything Bronya related, and it's because Bronya allowed her to? Yeah, this is exactly what I meant. That bold statement from Zele towards the climax of the story was what cemented this whole Bronya and Zele are the what if that Cocolia and Serval never was in my head. I mean, sure, Zele could insist all she wanted to come and save Bronya every single time, but had Bronya not allowed her to, had she shut Zele out like Cocolia had Serval, there would have been nobody for Zele to save. You cannot save somebody who doesn't want to be saved. Unlike Bronya, Cocolia had stopped resisting the Stellaron's sweet, poisonous promises. She had given up on humanity, believing that for a new world to prosper, the old must be destroyed. Worst of all, she shut out the only person that might have been able to snap her out of that crazy belief. I imagine Serval would have said something similar to Cocolia given a chance, had Cocolia just shared about her wavering faith and her losing battle in resisting the Stellaron. But we've established that is just never going to happen. In fact, in the story itself, we had passed the point in time where that could be a reality. Serval knew that. That's why she wasn't there with us trying to save Cocolia, or in Zele's words, knocking Cocolia out and bringing her back herself. Cocolia was too far gone, and Serval had grieved her and the death of the relationship. Long before this mission even started, Cocolia was already dead. Now what's left are these younger, more reckless yet more open versions of them, whose relationship had grown so beautifully throughout this journey. Bronya might have just lost the one figure she'd looked up to all her life, and had to fabricate a lie to protect people's faith in said figure and the architect as a whole. She might have to strip down her naivety and brace herself for the harsh reality of being the Supreme Guardian, her heart heavy with the burden of the truth. But she did not to worry, because then Zele willingly stepped forward and stopped right beside her to share that burden.
I'm sorry, Seele. Please, protect this secret with me till the end of our lives.
Say no more. I know what to do.
Thank you.
In another universe, after countless times being asked what's wrong by her dearest friend, a younger Cocolia had just confided in Serval about her desperation, about her wavering faith in preservation, and asked Serval to remind her why she shouldn't just give in to the temptation, because that would have been easier, right? Without missing a beat, Serval said, "Say no more," and started listing out all of the reasons, starting from the most logical ones that she knew would sober Cocolia up from her contemplation, to the nonsensical ones that would earn a smile from the Supreme Guardian. Serval would do all that for Cocolia, just as Zele had for Bronya. There you have it, step by step on how to implicitly kill a character. First, introduce a character that seems to bear no importance to the story early on in the story itself, then reveal that they're the soon-to-be-dead character's closest friend in the past. Second, develop another pair that at first glance seems to be a complete opposite to the characters in step 1, then draw parallels between them. And third, after delivering all of the above, wrap it all up nicely with the assurance that the soon-to-be-dead character is too far gone to be saved. I hope you gain something out of it. If not ideas for your next story, Perhaps some withdrawal from your Cocolia cerebral brain rot. At least that's what I got while writing it. Although my grief for Cocolia's death and sadness for Serval has not completely gone, it's ebbing away. Personally though, I feel like we were missing Serval's reaction to the Supreme Guardian's death in this mission. I mean, yes, I said she'd grief Cocolia long before this mission started, yada yada, but the truth of the battle was concealed, right? Serval knew Cocolia had lied all this while, that her removal from the Architect was unjust, only then for Cocolia to suddenly die a hero's death? It makes no sense. Why was she removed from the Architect then, her life ruined? Oh well, what do I know? At the time of this writing, I haven't done Serval's companion mission. Who knows, there might be something there. Anyways, if you're still watching up to this point, thank you very much. I really appreciate you taking the time to. Let me know what you think in the comment below. Did I miss anything? What can I improve in future videos? Or what would you like me to cover next? Lastly, don't forget to give this video a like if you enjoyed it, share it with your friends to spread the Cocolia cerebral brain rot, and consider subscribing to my channel if you haven't. I will see you next time.